Hello, welcome. Oh, I'm a little tilted. Let me just untilt. Welcome to Roll for Question, a stream where I, a veteran DM, talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and anyone is welcome to ask questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Hello, Minty. How's it going? It's been a while since I've done this, and I've been kind of inspired over the past week to look more critically at game design, specifically tabletop game design. And one thing I wanted to focus on is let's take a look at some homebrews that people have written. In just a moment, I'm going to be going through DnDHomebrew. I should probably change the zoom on this. I will figure out how to do that in just a moment. Actually, I'll figure out how to do it now. That's not how you do it. That should be an appropriate zoom level for something that is more viewable. I have not looked at any of the homebrews on DnDHomebrew, so this is basically blind. And I just want to set some expectations before we start. In general, in my experience, most homebrew is bad. And what do I mean by bad? Most homebrew is not something you would pay money for, not something that you would bring to your table, not something that your DM would accept. That is my baseline. That's not to say that the homebrews we're going to be looking at are actually like were terrible, or the people who wrote them are bad people. It doesn't mean that at all. What a lot of homebrews that I've seen get written, they are written for the person who's writing them, and that's meant for their table. And they're sharing it with the world because they're excited to have written something. And from that perspective, saying this homebrew is bad is kind of unfair, because it probably wasn't their goal for it to be judged in that way. It's meant to be judged for, you said, their table only. And I can't read people's minds, so I don't know. Like, this person wrote this homebrew, therefore at this table they must have a lot of goblins. I can't know that. I can only judge homebrew based on what I would do. So when I say something is something I don't like it, that doesn't mean the person who wrote it is not having fun. That doesn't mean the person who wrote it is a bad person and they should never write again. It doesn't mean any of that. It's just from my perspective, how I would use this at my table. And my opinion ultimately shouldn't get in the way of other people using this to have fun. If they're having fun, continue to have fun and ignore me. I'm just talking. There's 5 things that I would invite you to look at as we're going through. First, to properly judge a homebrew, these are the elements I'd ask you to consider. You may have your own elements. That's fine. But here's what I invite. Number 1, look at the theme of the homebrew. Does it spark your imagination? That, I feel like, is the most important thing. That's usually overlooked. Usually, when people are talking about homebrew, they're talking about, is this balanced? That is probably the least important thing when it comes to homebrew, but sure. Take a look at the theme. Does this thematically make sense? I feel like that's the most important thing to look at. Does this homebrew have cohesion? Take a look at, in addition, the complexity of what's being offered. Most of the time, this isn't a problem, but sometimes you'll see a homebrew where the brewer has created a class or something that has the player make a saving throw every round, or has monsters make a saving throw every round. They make like dozens of saving throws, hundreds of saving throws. Is that healthy? In that same vein, take a look at the amount of burden that the brew puts on the DM and the player to actually run the thing. Since we're not a video game, anything we program here, the DM has to do work to make it work. How much work are we putting on the DM? How much work are we putting on the player? That includes like how much math are we asking them to do? What are we asking them to remember? Do we have to keep track of a new thing? That kind of thing. It's okay to ask the DM to do work if something is worth it. Does what we're looking at feel like D&D? That's a very hard question. I don't particularly have like a... I can't... It's you'll know it when you see it. I can't describe what is and isn't D&D, but that's a critical thing when making homebrew. Obviously, we could add laser guns and lightsabers to D&D, but then, it just stops being D&D at that point. And then lastly, look at balance. Let's go. Let's see if this is mathematically terrible or mathematically something that if you add it to your game, the players cannot pick anything else without feeling bad because this is just too good. What if we made a fireball spell, but it's bigger than fireball? Well, why would you ever pick fireball when you can pick bigger fireball? Yeah. And to be clear, just because something fails one of these 5 rubrics does not mean it's bad. Does not mean that it is not there's lots of content, official content that fails at least one of these evaluations. Just because something isn't balanced doesn't mean it's automatically bad. It doesn't mean you can't bring it to your table and have a lot of fun. These are just things to look at, to evaluate homebrew with, not to say whether something is bad or not. All right. Now, without further ado, let us click the button. It's this tab right here. D&D Homebrew. All right. Zoom in because I just need the font to be readable. All right. So we've got a spell from user highly okay. And none of these people know me. I don't know any of these people. Purge, a thematic offensive spell for clerics and paladins. No clue about balance. So it's a first level spell. You cast it and you touch a creature and it immediately takes 10 radiant damage. Then makes a charisma saving throw. On a success, the creature has 5 hit points restored. Creature killed by this spell cannot return as an undead for a number of years equal to your combined cleric and paladin level, if any. Okay, well there's a lot going on there. Does that make sense thematically? You touch a creature, instantly take radiant damage, no saving throw, no attack roll, and then they make a save to get their hit points back. Does that make sense thematically? That's something to think about. What do you imagine? That kind of makes sense. Radiant damage is in the domain of the cleric. Inflict wounds is a spell that is 100% cleric. This feels like that, but it's radiant. I guess that thematically you could make that work. I don't like the word purge as a spell. That seems a bit placeholdery, but the rest of it you could make work. Here's the question though. Does this have depth or complexity to it? This is doing something that most spells aren't. This is doing damage and then you save to undo the damage. Does that make any sense? Not make sense. Obviously it doesn't make sense. Because why? You do the damage and then they pull the damage, they undo the damage. That doesn't ring to me. But does this sound deep? Does this sound like it is complex? You cast a spell and you do 10 damage is extremely simple. That is the simplest form of spell I can think of. But then you make a charisma saving throw, and on the success, the creature heals 5 hit points. That's not that complicated either. Not really a burden. A creature killed by the spell cannot return as an undead. That's whatever. You can just throw that away. Does this feel like D&D? No. Most spells don't just do damage. Most spells, you roll a die, because rolling dice is like a core piece of this game. and not rolling the dice is not D&D, just straight up. Additionally, just doing damage with no saving throw. There's one spell that does that. It's Magic Missile. And, well, that's not true. There's a few other spells that also just do damage. Boom. But this is Magic Missile. But it's on a cleric. And it's not a missile. It's not Magic Missile. It's Purge. Yeah, Power Word Kill does. There's another spell that just you just bam, you do damage, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Magic Missile is a very specifically defined domain. Like, that is something reserved for the wizard. It is something that has like specific counterplay. The shield spell explicitly blocks magic missiles. There's a magic item called the Brooch of Shielding, which blocks magic missiles. It's traditional. It's iconic. This has none of that. I don't think this earns that same niche, you know. And I could be wrong. Like, there could be, like, maybe this person has other brews to sort of flesh out this whole idea of purge. Like, there's this idea that the spell creature killed by this spell cannot return as an undead. But, like, maybe there's something going, like, does that matter? Maybe there's something going on at their table where that matters, and there's all sorts of other counterplay going on. Like, we're like, this creature is immune to purge, and oh, it just occurs to me, if the creature is immune to radiant damage, this is just a healing spell. Or if they're resistant to radiant damage, then yeah, that's weird. No, this does not feel D&D-ish, because doing damage, no attack roll, no saving throw, is a very, very specific niche in D&D, and this is not that niche. And it's trying to carve out that niche, and that's unfortunately difficult to do. Now, is this balanced? This is something that the person asked. No clue about the balance. Let's think about this, because it does 10 damage. That's about on par with Magic Missile. Like, a spell, a level 1 spell can do 3d8 damage, generally. 46 damage, 3d8. So 10 radiant damage is not out of the question. The fact that it's there is a saving throw here, but the saving throw is done after the damage is dealt. Whatever. This is probably balanced. 3d8 does 4 okay, 3 that's 13 damage on average, and this is doing 10 damage, and as on a success you get half of it back. I think that's balanced. I think that's fine. Now, this scaling here, the damage increases by 10 and the healing increases by 5. No, that's not balanced. And that goes into, like, D&D, generally you roll the damage. You don't just do 10 damage. Even Magic Missile, you roll the damage. Even Power Word Kill, you roll the damage. Like, you roll the damage. And then at higher levels, you add 1 die, and adding 1 die scales very poorly for all the spells, and it's like that intentionally. Because in editions prior, casters had a problem where they would, their spells would get more powerful as they leveled up, and this made them exponentially more powerful late game than everyone else, and it just kind of accumulated this idea of, like, well, early game, it's the fighter's game. Late game, the fighters are the furniture for the wizard to sit on while they set everyone on fire with their level 1 spells. It's a really good insight with Magic Missile. Is the spell identical to spells that already exist? Yeah. Spells in 5th edition don't scale like this, and they don't scale like this for a reason. To avoid linear fighters, quadratic wizards. That's the name of the trope, where the fighters, they get +1 attack every level, or +1 to their attack rolls every level. The wizard gets +1 to their spells every level, but also they get more spells. So they just no. At higher levels part here, I don't think that works. I don't think that works at all. Okay. There's a lot of comments here, so that's interesting. Most of these, in my experience, have like a few comments. Like people, a couple people comment, maybe no one will say anything. So I guess there must have been a discussion. Pyre Warden, a smelter demon inspired boss to incinerate your D&D party. Okay, we click here, and the font is very tiny. Can I make this bigger, please? Well, I can make the buttons up here bigger, but I can't make this bigger, unfortunately. Can I open it up in a new tab? Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Well, okay, we see this is a CR12. CR12 is fine. This has a lot of conditioned immunities. That's generally a sign of someone has a boss and they are tired of people not letting their boss get to do anything. So just give it immunity to everything. I'm sick of you stupid wizards casting a spell and then suddenly my boss can't do anything. There's this thing called legendary resistance, which this creature does have, but it only has 1 per day for some reason. That does a lot better job of keeping your boss intact without needing to give it immunity to blinded, charmed, deafened, exhaustion. Is deafened even a thing? I can't remember if that's a condition or not. Frightened, paralyzed, petrified, and poisoned. Okay, but let's just okay. This is a construct. That's probably why it has all these condition immunities. Sure. It's got whatever stats. It's got really strong strength and con saves and wisdom. Okay. It's got blindside 120 feet. Okay, it's got legendary resistance once per day. That's strange. Blind sight extends into the ethereal plane. Sure. If it takes cold damage, it must make a Constitution saving throw, or it is under the effects of the slow spell until the end of its next turn. So now, as a okay, keep this in mind. When I'm running this as a DM, I have to know what the slow spell does now to run this creature properly. That's a little more cognitive load. Need to be aware of that. Magic resistance, very standard. Immutable form, I think that's copied from like another construct. This thing casts Command, Scorching Ray, Fireball, and Wall of Force. And we use it when the Warden casts the command spell on an undead, it does not expend a use. Is this an undead? Pyre Warden, okay. So this is sensitive to cold. It's immune to fire and poison and psychic, whatever. It can cast fire spells, Wall of Force for some reason, and command. It can command the undead. I'm still working through here. Still working through. Before adding a spell, it's worth asking why the existing spells aren't enough. Well, I mean, slow is an existing spell. It's you just have to go in the book to look it up. And like I generally know what slow does. Like you cast it on 3 targets, I think, and they have to make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, their speed gets halved and they can only take an action or a bonus action. And then there's something I have to look it up. I play this game a lot and I still have to look up what slow does, and I'm not going to do that right now. The Warden makes 2 attacks with its Phantom Great. So, okay, so it can do that, or it can cast a spell. Oh, it can swap one of the attacks for a spell. Okay, so we can cast Fireball and then hit someone with this Greatsword. Plus 10 to hit, reach 10 feet, 1 target, hit 18 slashing damage. If ignited, this attack is considered magical, deals an additional 46 fire damage, and it can target creatures and objects in the ethereal plane. Okay, I don't know what that means. What does ignited mean? I assume we're going to get to that below. Bonus action, we have a bonus action here. That's already kind of scary. Most creatures don't have a bonus action. Most creatures, you get 1 action, and that's it. And the reason that's the case is because as a DM, you've got a lot on your plate. Managing bonus actions is just more on your plate. So, bonus action, blah, blah, blah. This is a hit, but it also does a strength saving throw or knock prone. Or we can do a bonus action to ignite the Greatsword. Okay. So This basically just means I spent a bonus action to do this. Sure. Now, okay. Let's move on. Legendary actions. We got legendary. They got 6 legendary actions. That's generally a lot. We can detect, ignite, charge, onslaught, cast spell, or spectral cannon. Okay. Now let's just, what we've seen here, let's just take a second and think. Does this thematically make sense? This is a construct that is, it's a Pyre Warden. I guess it's got some sort of fire affinity. It's got a cold sensitivity. It has fireball. It has wall of force. Sure. It has a greatsword, a phantom greatsword. If we see this picture here, assuming that this greatsword is actually spectral, because it's called a phantom greatsword. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's not really coming together for me. You know, a constructs get a lot of leeway for doing random stuff, because golems in D&D get a lot of leeway for doing random stuff. Like iron golems can breathe. I think it's, do the iron golems breathe like chlorine gas, or is it the stone golems? One of them breathes fire. One of them breathes gas. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like clay golems are sped up by lightning. It's just completely random. So that part I don't particularly mind. But this thing can attack the ethereal plane. I don't understand why. It does not. That part does not make sense to me. It can command undead. That part does not make sense to me either. Why does it have a phantom greatsword? Why does it have a bonus action to ignite its greatsword? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm assuming this is a boss creature. Was that specified here? It is. Yeah, this is specified as a boss. That's good, because getting into my next evaluation level, what is the mechanical complexity / depth to this? This is complex. This is very complex. There's a lot going on here. This has 1 legendary resistance. Okay, that's fine. Cold sensitivity is complex. Does it add a lot to the game to make this thing be under the effects of the slow spell? I kind of, but the problem is it has legendary actions, so that's not nearly as I guess. Okay, I guess what's going on here is that's why there's bonus actions here, so that you can use cone of cold or whatever on this thing, and then it can't action and bonus action. So there you go, cone of cold doing work. That's a lot. This could be a lot simpler. We could just axe these completely. We could just say, if you cone of cold this thing, then it can't ignite its sword. Its sword is no longer ignited. It's a little bit easier. The next step is seeing what motivates a player to pick that spell in their spell slot. Especially you don't want to make the overpowered spell, such as the win the game spell. Yeah. This thing has Scorching Rain, Fireball. That's fine. This thing has Command and Wall of Force. I don't like Wall of Force is something I would definitely have to look up. And command it as well. As the DM, when I'm running a creature, I have to look up command. And it's just a 2nd level spell. Does that mean it can target 2 creatures? I don't actually remember what happens when you upcast command. Yeah. And then my turn, when I'm running this creature, I have a lot of options going on, and I have to choose. And that's bad. First of all, don't give me the options as a DM. Make it very easy for me to run this creature, because I have a lot on my plate. I can multi-attack, and I'm going to multi-attack for sure, but I have a choice between hitting twice with this greatsword, which has a a special mode, or I can hit once and cast Fireball. Probably casting Fireball is better, but I have to think about that. Or Scorching Ray. I don't actually know. Is Scorching Ray better? I have to think about that. I'd rather not have to think about that. And then I've got this bonus action. Do I do that before or after the Greatsword attack? Or do I use my bonus action to ignite the Greatsword and then attack twice? I have options. Please pause everyone else at the table. Let me think about my turn. And then, like, Knee Bash. This is knocking a creature prone. That's a combo, so you'd absolutely want to do that before the Greatsword. But it has a reach of 5 feet, and this is a reach of 10 feet. So I gotta consider positioning on the map, and igniting it is plus 46 fire damage. If there's something going on at this table where there's ethereal plane nonsense going on as well, that is just adding even more to this creature's complexity. Is it interesting? I don't see how. I don't see how. DM player burden. I feel like there's a lot of DM burden. This is a boss, so you're allowed to throw some burden on the DM. There's a boss fight, so the DM's going to put extra effort in to make it good. Does it pay off? I don't particularly know if I say it does. One thing I will say is that it's obvious that this creature expects to come with minions, and it'd be nice if it actually offered some suggestions on that front. Maybe in the comments. Let's just do a real quick. Is there follow-up? Power Warden. Okay, there's some. Nope, nothing. All right, so I don't know what I'm supposed to pair this guy with, but he's obviously supposed to pair with something because he's got this Grave Commander ability. Does this feel like D&D? Sure, I guess so. Only because constructs are pretty nonsense. And they pull out all sorts of random abilities. This doesn't really cohere, but whatever. At least there's nothing here that says not D&D. Surprise, you're actually playing a different game. Is this balanced? I'm not going to go through the math of figuring out if this math fits CR12. There's a chart in the DMG, in the 2014 DMG, that will say, here's, for a challenge level 12 creature, this is how many hit points it should have, this is what its armor class should be, here's what its saving throw should be, here's how much damage it should be able to do. I'm going to guess that the hit point, the defensive CR is low, and the offensive CR is high. The way that it works in 2014 is you take an existing creature and you look that's already in the monster manual, and you compare it, and you say, and then you go cross-eyed and you go, okay, that's probably mathematically balanced. I'd want to try this out to say. It's also the kind of thing where the expectation, since this thing has cold sensitivity, people are going to use cold spells on it. What happens if the party doesn't know that? It's probably fine in this case. It's probably fine, but it is important to keep that in mind when you're thinking about balance. All right. I didn't mention this, but how would I improve this? I would greatly simplify the mechanics of this thing. It does not. Why does it only have one legendary resistance? Usually you want to give it 3 so that it can do its job of absorbing like the spells that instantly end the encounter. You don't want them to end the encounter against the boss. You want the boss to actually get to play the game. Give him more legendary resistances. I don't particularly understand any of the ethereal stuff. I'd just get rid of all that stuff, honestly, unless you provide additional context as to like how you bring this forward in your boss fight. Here are some ghosts that I don't know. I'm gonna stop. Cold sensitivity, I would just simplify this greatly, and then take both bonus actions. Just get rid of them. Put Phantom Ignition somewhere up here and say, like, at the start of combat, the whatever this is called, the Pyre Warden ignites its sword. If it takes 20 or more cold damage, its sword goes out, and it will not reignite until the end of its next turn. And that's it. Like, you don't need bonus actions. You don't need to be like, okay, I got to make a Constitution saving throw, DC 15. Just keep it simple. Magic resistance is fine. Immutable form is fine. I don't know what command and Wall of Force are doing here. I would just jettison those, honestly. Scorching Ray and Fireball are fine. And then this here is fine. Don't give me a choice. A choice between Greatsword and casting my once-a-day Fireball. Okay, it's a boss fight. That's a choice. Get rid of the bonus actions. Legendary actions. I would get rid of most of these. You want one offensive legendary action, one single target offense legendary action, one multi-target legendary action, and that's it. That's it. Get rid of this Ignite. Detect can stay. It's useless. Get rid of Charge. Onslaught can stay. Maybe get rid of Cast a Spell and then just keep Spectral Cannon. Sure. That seems a lot better. A lot simpler. And it should preserve more or less the bossiness of this fight. I don't think that is hinging on this guy being able to knee bash and whatever's going on with the Phantom Ignition. That's what I think, anyway. Okay, we got art. Is this an actual spell, or is this just art? Make your enemies doubt what's real with this illusion spell. Well, that's okay. Hold on, let's just try and make it bigger on screen. I'm gonna put this up here. Flickering Strikes, 4th level illusion spell. Casting time 1 action. Components, yep. Range, self, duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You become wreathed in a deceptive shimmer, seemingly disappearing and reappearing in the eyes of others. So it's like the blink spell. When you cast this spell, and immediately after you make a melee weapon attack against a creature, you turn invisible at the same time that an illusory double of you appears where you are standing. The after image disappears when you become visible, or if it is targeted by an attacker spell or forced to make a saving throw. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn, or until your attacker casts a spell. Until this spell ends, whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you deal an additional 2d8 psychic damage to the target. What? I don't... why? This is an illusion spell, but you're doing extra psychic damage? I want to reference a spell. This is why I have D&D Beyond up right now. Come on. What? Spells. No, I want the game rule. Sources. Okay, that's what I meant to click on. Give me the basic rules. Let's go to spells. Where are the spells? A spell called Blink. I want to look up Blink. Roll 1d6 at each end of your turns. You vanish from the current plane of existence and appear in the ethereal plane. While on the ethereal plane, you can perceive the plane you left. You return to the other plane at the start of your next turn. Why is my mouse freezing? Does it sound okay? Let me know if the sound's not okay. Okay, back to this. Okay. You turn invisible. You create a double, and you turn invisible. You attack, and your double stands in place of you. So that part is okay, I guess. That is that better than just casting greater invisibility? I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's cooler. I think the problem is when do you become visible? Okay, so you cast this spell. You're invisible now. Then you attack. Problem. Who's getting this spell? Who gets this spell? Is this a wizard spell? Doesn't actually say. Okay, so anyone can use this spell, I guess. I'm going to assume that it's a wizard sorcerer spell, because that makes sense. If it's not wizard or sorcerer, then I'd be very confused. Wizards and sorcerers don't make melee attacks, first of all. So, and this is a self spell. You can't give it to someone else. I'm already a little like, huh? Thematically, it makes sense. You hit someone, you turn invisible, and the bodily double takes all the consequences. There's already a spell that does that called Mislead. That's totally fine. Thematically, sure. This, you deal additional damage to the target when you attack, doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's a completely different spell that's been added onto this spell. Why is this? Hold on. I definitely see some issues going on with the stream. Whatever. Does this make sense complexity wise? So you turn invisible, you hit a creature, you turn invisible. Presumably, you're a melee class. You're making melee attacks, so you might have extra attack. You'll attack again, and you'll be invisible, so you'll get advantage. Great. Or you're already invisible when you make the first attack. So there's an illusory double of you wandering around, and then you hit a creature, and there's nothing here that indicates that the creature would be fooled into believing the illusion hit them, and they'll know that an invisible creature hit them. So, the illusion isn't doing much at this point. The after image, like, at that point, this is just greater invisible. Oh, wait, right here. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn until you attack or cast a spell. But you turn invisible after you make melee, after you attack. So it's basically greater invisibility, but only for attacks. But you also get this you get this illusory double, I guess, to take the consequences. I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, I'm having a hard time imagining how this spell would work, because you create an illusion in combat, and I guess all the monsters are supposed to fall for this illusory double, even though, you could just be invisible, and it's the same thing. You could just cast greater invisibility, and they're in the exact same posture. So the expectation, I guess, is that monsters are wasting their time attacking the after images, especially because of this sentence here: the after image disappears if it's targeted by an attack or spell or forced to make a saving throw. But I don't see how you do that. I don't know how you make the DM do that. Like, the monsters could just be like, there's an invisible creature right next to me. I'm going to attack the invisible creature, because invisible creatures aren't like they're not quiet. Like the creature still knows that they're there. They're not hidden. Is that how that works? Just double check. Conditions. Where are conditions? There they are. Invisibility, the condition. There's nothing in here that says creatures can't target you. I mean, it says right here, you aren't affected by any effect that requires a target to be seen. But, like, you can still be stabbed, right? So, it's not obvious here why the creature's just not getting stabbed instead of the illusion. And then this, I mean, complexity-wise, it's fine. DM burden-wise, it's fine. Does it feel like D&D? No. Why is this illusion letting you do additional psychic damage to the target? And then balance-wise, like, this is better than greater invisibility. So, no. I mean, greater invisibility, you can cast spells, so maybe. But I feel like additional 2d8 psychic damage with a melee weapon attack, it's pretty hard to... that's a pretty good incentive to use this over greater invisibility. So, I don't particularly see that as balanced. I don't know. Why is this, Anyway. I'm gonna move on. The Philosopher. Oh boy. I was expecting most of these to be classes. Or not classes, subclasses. And reviewing a subclass is really hard. Because you have to take it all at once. You can't just review it piece by piece. A class is even more work. I don't know why people do this to themselves. How is this, How are people coming up with classes and making them, like, not atrocious? Because that's a lot of work. And at the end of the day, you end up making something that's like, you could have just been a rogue. Could have just reskinned a rogue. The Philosopher is a thinker whose intellect and deep understanding of the abstract concepts give them the power to bend reality itself. Great. So we're basically a wizard, but we think, therefore we can. Just going to skip the rest of this. Multiclassing, this is an intelligence class. You must have an intelligence score of 13 or higher to multiclass. 1d6 hit dice, 6 hit points at level 1. So this is a busy. Could have been a wizard. Could have been a wizard. Armor, no armor, weapons, dagger, and quarterstaff. That reads like someone who played a wizard and was like, this wizard gets other weapon proficiencies. I don't know why I'd use them. I have dagger and quarterstaff. That's all I need. Calligrapher's tools, intelligence, wisdom. You get a component pouch. Cool. This reads like wizard so far. What, is this the only page? Do I have to? Oh, I have to do this for every page. Great. Pontification dice. I look forward to that, but it's wisdom based. Spellcasting, philosophical inquiry, pontification. All right, we see full caster progression right here. Cantrips known. I think that's normal. I think wizards might get more cantrips than that. Okay, I'm scared. You get a spell book. Okay, great. We're a wizard. At first level, you get a spell book containing philosopher spells of your choice. I'm just going to assume this is all wizard. Looks like wizard preparing and casting spells. Wizard. This could have been copy pasted from wizard and just replace wizard with philosopher. Each time you gain a philosopher level, you can add 2 philosopher spells of your choice to your spellbook. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability. You can ritual cast. Okay. Okay. At level 2, you get a feature called Pontification. You can spend 1 minute orating or communicating a philosophical idea to those around you. So not in combat. Okay. This is already departing from D&D. But I'll roll with it. You can spend 1 minute after you pontificating. You choose a number of creatures other than you that you can hear up to your charisma modifier. They each gain 1 pontification die, a d4. Oh, so we're a bard now. Okay, so we can inspire others by talking for a minute. Sure. Hold on. Let me just. Until they finish a long rest, a creature with a pontification die can add it to 1 ability check, attack, roll, or saving throw it makes. Yep, we're a bard. You can use this feature a number of times equal to 1 plus your wisdom modifier. Why wisdom? I thought we were in intelligence class. Pontification die changes when you reach a certain level. Okay, yeah, it goes up at the same progression as bard. Didactic empowerment. Why is this? Oh, I need to open a new tab. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Personal teaching style augments and enhances the way that your pontification dice can be used. Choose 2 empowerments to augment your pontification feature and 1 additional. Okay, so this reads to me like warlock invocations, but we've renamed it all. And we've applied them to bardic inspiration, that's fine. Okay, I don't hate that. A creature possessing 1 of your pontification dice can use it to restore a 1st level spell slot or regain 1 use of a racial trait class feature that is normally restored after a short rest. All right, how do you balance that? How did you balance that? There's no way that anyone can come up with that and say, all right, let me just go through every. There's like 2 dozen of these here. Did you spend like 6 hours making sure that this is balanced, and then another 6 hours? I'm gonna stop. When a creature you can see rolls a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes, you can critique that failure to immediately use a pontification feature as a reaction. I don't even know what that means. Does that mean they get to roll a d4? Or does that mean you get to start orating for a minute? You watch a creature, you watch your ally fail the attack roll. You start talking for a minute, explaining how they failed. After a minute, you can choose a number of creatures other than you that heard you to gain a pontification die. Is that what happened? Pontification feature, that's not. You can use your pontification feature as an action or a bonus action instead of the normal 1 minute time it takes to use. Okay, here we go. Now this is the combo: concision here and criticism. So you can criticize people very, very concisely and inspire the whole party with your pontification. Creativity. A creature possessing 1 of your pontification die can expend it when forcing another creature to make a saving throw. The saving throw is reduced by the result of the pontification die. Sure, that's fine. Equanimity. Creature rolls a 1 on your pontification die. They can re-roll it and use the new result instead. Okay, these are all a lot less difficult to balance than this one up here. When a creature gains your pontification die, they roll it immediately. The result is fixed and used whenever they would normally roll the die. Okay. Can use your pontification. Okay. It's part of casting a philosopher's. Okay, I'm gonna read like 3 more, and then I'm gonna skip straight to the philosopher spells because I want to see if it's just the wizard spell list. Creatures must be able to see or hear the spell to gain its effects. Creature possessing 1 of your pontification die can expend it to concentrate on 2 spells simultaneously. Okay. Yeah, that's not balanced. we can just stop there. I'm just gonna stop there. All right, skip straight to the Where's the spells? I don't get to see the spell list? Oh no. Let's check to see if the spells were posted in here. There's nothing. I don't. That's what I want to look at. I want to see. Did you just make a wizard? That's honestly what I want to see. Okay, I'm not going to review the rest of this, but I think we've got enough to judge. What is the theme of this class? It does not feel honestly like a philosopher. It feels like a wizard smashed into a bard with a little sprinkling of warlock on it. That making a class is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing to do in homebrew. So I don't want to harp too much on this point, but if you take class features from other classes and you mash them together, you don't come up with something unique. You come up with, I took two class features from two classes and I mashed them together. And that's how I read this. Mechanical complexity, depth. I mean, there's nothing in here that seemed especially complex. It's not worse than what already exists because all of this stuff was taken from other classes. And wizard is a medium complexity. This is medium complexity. Bard is medium complexity. This is medium complexity. That kind of thing. And likewise, the DM player burden is same level. I don't see anything in here that makes me go. Does it feel like D&D? I got to this pontification. You could spend 1 minute orating or communicating a philosophical idea to those around you. I stopped at that point. That's not D&D. Spending 1 minute to talk. There are, the bard does have some abilities. I think there's a spell called Enthrall that does this, but it's for distracting people. That is not unheard of. But making that your second level class feature, and I think that's the only thing they get. No, that's not. It does not go on a class feature like that. What is philosophical inquiry? Oh, that's their subclass feature. Okay, sure. I stopped there and I was just like, no, that's not. Philosophers aren't adventurers. I mean, they can be. But does that feel like D&D? I don't think so. And then balance? No, this isn't balanced. As soon as I saw, here's a thing that lets you concentrate on 2 spells. Absolutely not. That is a hard stop. Making a class balance is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's very easy to assume that the people who make these classes didn't put the work in because. Making a class, just all this writing is a lot of work. All of this writing took time and effort. I mean, this probably didn't, but this took time and effort. This took time and effort. Time, effort. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So balancing is also a lot of work. And something's got to give, and it's probably the balance. So, yeah, that's not a surprise. I don't have. When people are making classes and classes, I can't. There's no feedback I can give to be like, you can do this differently, and it'll be better. Usually, my feedback is, you need 100 more hours to work on this. That's not good feedback, but that's all I got. Okay, let's move on. Would this be balanced as a CR2 monster that fights in groups? New monster, Cool. So we're instantly failing the theme because this this thing doesn't have a name. Balances a CR2 monster that fights in groups. Okay, let's bring it up. Oh, hit points 26, challenge rating 2. Okay, so that's definitely too low. I don't need to look up the table to know that that's too low. That's like CR 1/2 level of hit points. That is a burrow speed. Cool. This is the 2024 stats. Cool. Vulnerabilities to psychic and bludgeoning. Okay, so this is even smaller than it looks if it's vulnerable to bludgeoning. No, that's not CR2. There's a table in the DMG. It's got the math. If you don't want to have the math, go into the monster manual, grab a creature, copy its stats, mix them up a little. This thing has keen smell. Pack tactics, but it's tactics spelled with a K. Sure, and it has tunneler. All right. Bite +5, reach 5, hits. It does slashing damage plus acid damage, and it also grapples. It also has a slash, which it can do twice. Okay, that's probably CR2 levels worth of damage. It can also do an acid spray. That's just its range attack. It's not as good as doing a slash, but rally the swarm. Okay. Okay, so this thing has, is this thing a scarab, or is scarab a thing something else? Let me just go into here for clarification. Okay, I don't see any clarification. Cool. Take a look at that. Thematically, this is kind of like a, I mean, just scarab is a, I'm gonna call it scarab, is a name that evokes like an arthropod kind of creature. So it has a relatively tough armor class. It's not great, but it's, you know, better than like a person. That kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense thematically to me. Like, there's absolutely not enough here to paint a clear picture, and there needs to be. That's the brewer's job. That's not my job. It's not my job to figure out what thematically is going on here. But I think you could do it. This has a climb speed and a burrow speed. Sure. Is this complex? Kind of. There's a lot going on here for a CR2 creature. This rally the swarm thing, that's needlessly complex. I think everything else here is fine. It has telepathy, sure. DM player burden. No, it's not that. It's not more burdensome. Other than, actually, I take that back. Vulnerabilities are burdensome on the DM because the DM has to remember that this creature has bludgeoning vulnerability. That's going to come up. Does it feel like D&D? Yeah. Yeah, this is a D&D creature. I'd give this a D&D creature. I'd say, even this part here, that's D&D. This is all D&D. Telepathy, a little weird, but that's still in the realm of D&D. Yeah, D&D. We're in D&D land. Lastly, is this balanced? No, this is not a CR2 creature. This might be a CR 1/2 creature. This might be a CR 1 creature, but its hit points are really low. This is not CR2. And it's got 2 vulnerabilities. No. If you give it just psychic vulnerability, okay, I might just write that off because psychic damage is actually pretty rare in the game. Bludgeoning damage is not. Bludgeoning damage is super common. You hit this thing for 13 bludgeoning damage and it's dead instantly. Catapult spell, done. And that's a CR2 creature. It's not supposed to be that weak. That's kind of the biggest pain point, honestly, is this right here. It's way too low, and these right here, making it way too weak. Otherwise, you know, put in the work to add some theme to it, and this might be a fine creature. Fine creature to swarm. Fights in groups. depending on the party level, maybe. Ooh, an encounter. I have not seen this in a long time. People do brew up like 5-room dungeons, but I've not seen people brewing up just an encounter. Unless this is a 5-room dungeon. Nope, it's not. Okay. Can we zoom in better than that? Wow, okay. It's kind of blurry. No, zoom out. No, I don't. I don't want to be on this tab. I want to be over here. Okay. I hate web browsers sometimes. Can I zoom in, please? No, I can't. Make this go away. This is fine. Okay, so we have a collapsing watermill. Powerful storms can cause great changes to the environment, blah, blah, blah. Distressed about its current location as a creature, breaking apart a watermill mechanism and snapping at the residents. The party arrives. The young daughter, Maria, calls out for help as her father bleeds from the creature's attack. Okay, so this isn't just an encounter that you can just drop into any adventure. This is an encounter for a specific adventure. Because there's an NPC here. There has to be a watermill. Well, I guess maybe this character has no introduction necessary. Maybe it's fine. All right. Opening. The morning following a terrifying storm, the party sets off to continue their journey, reaching a stream of water. To set the scene, read the following. Very nice. Very nice. Encounters generally don't come with box text, so big thumbs up. I'm gonna assume that's fantastic and move on. Okay, there's observations. A bunch of observations. I don't particularly see anything to give to the DM to get them able to set things up. Like this, here's a box text. Here's an overview. There's a creature. It's attacking a watermill, or it's lashing out a watermill. There's an NPC. I guess they're a hostage, and there's another dying NPC. But I feel like, oh, come on, what is going on? Just giving me observations, because now I have to digest all of these. I guess that's fine. Waving the party through the window, Maria, a young girl, about 12, calls out for help. Okay, damage caused a large wooden beam from the roof to collapse on top. Okay, players can infer that the noise rattles it. Okay, the front door is locked. Great. Smashed window. There is a window. What is these difficulties? Easy, medium, hard? I don't understand that. I don't speak that language. What does that mean? Okay. The players may cut themselves on the glass if they go through the window. The foundations of the watermill have been damaged. Is this a building? Can we go in the watermill? The state of the building. The players can deduce that the watermill is leaning towards the river, weighing down by the creature. Has the creature been described at all? A large amphibious creature has been uprooted and dragged down the stream. Do amphibious creatures get uprooted? I don't know what this is. Examining the state of the building. Okay, wait a minute. I'm halfway through this document and I don't know what the creature is, and we're describing that the floor in a building is unstable. The entire building will be swept away by the stream. Players may be able to perceive that the creature is in distress due to this tail being caught in the sharp wooden spikes. One option would be to pacify the creature and help it escape. Okay. Time is of the essence. War hooks? What? Wait a minute. Where's the encounter? I'm lost. Like, what? Did I space out and did I miss the encounter? Is this even for D&D? Is this a D&D encounter? Did I get bamboozled? System agnostic. Okay. So this is not usable out of the box. Okay. and I can't view this. This is I can't use this. I like the idea of, like, have you thought about making an encounter where there's this creature and it's attacking this watermill, or it's damaged this watermill, and the people in the watermill are in trouble, and the party needs to rescue them and rescue the watermill and the creature. Like, yeah, I'm sure, but like, I can't run that until someone actually makes the encounter. I don't need just an idea of encounter. I need the actual encounter. Upon the watermill crumbling, something is intriguing. Okay, so this is like, after you're done, here's some more. Here's how you connect this to the next encounter. We don't know what the creature is, but we have loot here, washed up on the river's edge. Some gold coins, very random quantities of coins. Usually you roll that in D&D, but since this is system agnostic, usually you roll that in any TTRPG. Like, dice are a thing in every TTRPG. Loot includes a meal and some of the coins he has stored, but we're not going to say how many. There's a bag of wheat, a bottle of rum, a giant feather, a water-soaked journal of an explorer, and a gold ring with an inscription dedicated to Anastasia. So, thematically, this is great. Thematically, sure. I can take this idea and work it into an encounter. But the problem is, I, the DM, have to do work to make this work. And I have to do, not just like, I have to do a couple of conversions, and this calls for a fortitude save, but that's not a thing in 5th edition D&D. I have to do everything. I have to decide what creature this is. I have to decide the watermill. I have to decide these NPCs, what their deal is. Like, this just, I have to cook all that up. I have to decide what easy, medium, and hard means for these observations. I also have to decide how I'm going to share them with the party, because I don't think that's contained in this box text. Yeah, so this is like, what is it? This is a design doc for an encounter, but it's not the actual encounter. So mechanical complexity wise, there's nothing here at all. There's nothing. The DM burden is immense as well. Because the DM burden is, you make the entire encounter. Here's the idea for it. Does this feel like D&D? Sure. I think I could make this work into D&D, but that's predicated on the fact that, like, I can't run this as is. I have to do work to make this work. And if I'm doing work, I might as well just make it D&D, you know? So I can make that happen. Is this balanced? That question doesn't make any sense for this, so I'm just going to move on. Oh, where did I go? Oh, okay. How do I go back? I don't particularly understand Reddit. Okay, we're back here. Okay, purge. This is new. I'm going to skip it. This is a thing. The Barbarian Pass of the Struggler. All right. Let's take a look at this. Okay. This is, hold on. I spaced out. Is this 2014? Yeah, this is 2014. Okay. I can't zoom in. Great. There we go. You have been fated to die at the moment of your predetermined fate, not due to divine intervention or some ephemeral notion of destiny, but due to pure refusal to fall. Oh, you have failed to die at the moment of your predetermined fate. Okay. So this is like some berserk shit. Struggle. Starting at 3rd level, you fight not only with anger, but with raw determination and willpower. You gain the ability to use struggle dice, which are D4s used to fuel special abilities. Path of the Struggler. You get struggle dice. Yeah. We're on brand. While raging, you can expend a struggle die to empower yourself in one of the following ways. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend a struggle die to add the result to the damage dealt. Or when you make a saving throw that's not intelligence or charisma, you can add a struggle die and add it to the result. And you gain a struggle die every time a creature rolls a critical hit. You start your turn bloodied, or you start your turn affected by one of the following conditions: blinded, frightened, grappled. Okay, that's that's cooking. So you may only expend a single struggle die per attack or saving throw. They last until you finish a short or long rest. Okay, so after you do a short rest, you start with no struggle dice. So what you need to do is you get all of your allies to grab you, and that makes you struggle. So do not go gently. Starting at 6th level, when you would be reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can choose to drop to 1 hit point instead and immediately enter a barbarian rage. Problem. Most barbarians are already in a barbarian rage when they drop to 0 hit points. If you... That's just if you're already... Oh, okay. I should have continued reading. If you're already raging, you must still expend one use of your rage feature to use this ability. Can't use this feature if you have no uses of rage remaining. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Starting at 14th level, after you use this feature, you automatically obtain the maximum possible result on the struggle die rolled before the end of your next turn. So a 4. Starting at level 10, whenever a creature makes an attack against you, you can use your reaction to expend a struggle die and add it to your AC. Yeah, okay, sure. That's a thing that's very unbarbarian, I'm gonna be honest. Adding to your AC, no. Starting at 14th level, when you are within 5 feet of 2 or more hostile creatures and no friendly creatures within 5 feet of you, make one additional melee weapon attack as a bonus action on your turn. Okay, so I am very cross-eyed as far as the theme of this class. So we're barbarian and we're not dead, and we're supposed to be. So we're struggling. We get struggle dice. What does that mean? Hold on, wait a minute. Is there more? No, there's not. Is there a limit on struggle dice? There's no limit. I missed the limit. So you're just accumulating struggle dice. I don't get it. Oh, you have a maximum number of struggle dice equal to your Constitution modifier. Okay. So you're resisting fate to die. You were supposed to die, but you didn't. Therefore, you can struggle. Struggling makes you better at everything. It makes you better at attacking. It makes you better at saving against poison. It makes you better at resisting mind control for some reason. Yeah, it's just everything. And you struggle every time you get critical hit, or you're hurt, or whenever a buddy grabs you, or whenever I don't get it. And furthermore, also, actually, this ability makes the most sense. You were supposed to die, but you didn't. So every time that you would die, you can spend a rage to not die. Sure, that makes perfect sense. But then we go up here. You can spend a struggle die to not get hit. That's very unbarbarian. Very unbarbarian. Barbarians want to be hit. That's the you have resistance to damage. Like you have reckless attack. Like that's to be hit more. Like that's barbarian. Like here's an ability that raises your AC is the least barbarian ability you could have done. And then I don't know, you get extra attacks if you're surrounded. That just does not. That does not come together. Thematically, I can't say I'm on board with this. Is it mechanically complex? Yes. Yes, it is. Because, let me just go over here. You as the player have to track every time a creature crits you, every time you start your turn bloodied, every time you have one of these conditions. You have to remember that, and then you have to gain struggle dice. You have to track your struggle dice and that's complex. There's a lot of work, mental load to track all of that. If a video game is handling that all for you, no complexity whatsoever. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But since the player is having to manage all this, and by extension the DM, no, that's complex. Does this feel like D&D? I went on a little rant about how this is very unbarbarian, and for that I'm going to say it's not D&D because of that. This is also like extra attacks are generally no, I think maybe you could make this work in D&D, but not for barbarian. That's not a D&D thing. Yeah, the rest of this, you could say it's D&D. I think you could make that argument. Is this balanced? Probably not. You're adding a D4 to all your attack rolls. That doesn't matter. You're already attacking with advantage every attack anyway. No, I shouldn't say that. Adding a D4 on top of advantage is a little silly. Adding it to every saving throw except intelligence and charisma is kind of silly too. That's kind of silly. And then adding it to your AC is absolutely bananas silly. And spending a rage to not die. I feel like each of these individually is silly, and there's nothing in this subclass to say, okay, but there's no power, but at a cost. There's no, okay, you can do this cool thing, but then the DM gets to do this cool thing. There's none of that. So I'm gonna lean on not balanced, and I think there's just too much going on here. I would pick one of these. If it were me, pick one of these. Stretch it out across all these classes. The power budget across all these classes. Not classes, features. All of these features, and then don't pick this one. Don't pick this one. And then I'll work from there. All of these things together, I don't think are balanced. Psionic power integration. Is this a homebrew? Just a real quick. I don't think that's a homebrew that I can read. Okay, Flickering Strikes. I already saw that. The Tome of Vicious Mockeries. Is this a magic item? Oh, this looks fun. Okay. All right. Let's look at this page. Okay, this is a magic item. It's rare, that's just meaningless. To attune to this item, you must perform a successful one-man comedy performance in a town square. A theft event. Okay, so this is not a serious item. You must complete a silly, nonsensical quest in Aladamra's name. When successfully attuned to this item and have studied this book for 3 hours, the user gains the cantrip Vicious Mockery permanently. Okay. The user can use one charge to cast the spell Vicious Mockery at anyone they can see. But we already gained the cantrip Vicious Mockery permanently. What? However, the user can recover that charge and gain an additional one if the Vicious Mockery insult they use makes the DM laugh. Okay, this is a serious item. Vicious Mockery is cast at 11th level and the saving throw is 13 or have disadvantage on the next attack roll. Okay, yeah. User can spend 2 charges to cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Creatures of your choice that can see within range perceives. Okay, this is just Tasha's Hideous Laughter. It's been copied over. And then 6 charges to cast Vicious Mockery on 6 creatures. And then for the next minute, any insult they hurl at any creature deals 1d4 psychic damage. Unlike regular Vicious Mockery, it doesn't cause a wisdom saving throw for disadvantage on its next attack. However, anyone who can cast Vicious Mockery while under its effect will boost the damage of its Vicious Mockery. Okay, so you're not casting Vicious Mockery for its damage. So that's silly. Lore of the Tome of Vicious Mockeries. Okay. Okay, this is just a fun item. This is just a fun item. You read it, you attune to it, which is a quest, and then you get the spell Vicious Mockery, and then you can cast the spell Vicious Mockery from this book for some reason. I don't know why you would do that. You can do it. You also get Tasha's Hideous Laughter because it's thematic. It's thematic. This is a thematic item. This has some imagination. I wouldn't say this is put together very skillfully, but there's definitely a theme here. There's definitely imagination here. I give it credit there. And then we have it's just a bunch of insults. It's just a bunch of insults. And you know what? 10 out of 10. If I paid for 20 idiots and all I got was you, I'd still have gotten my money's worth. Is that a gaze attack, or are you just that ugly? You look like you dropped common loot. Alright. One look at you and a basilisk would turn to stone. I tried to cast Detect Thoughts on you and all I got was psychic damage. Yeah, this is just... We can just ignore all this. We can just ignore all this. Whoop. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages of Vicious Mockeries. 10 out of 10. Great theme. I'm just gonna not look at this. We don't need that. We can just say, here's a book. You attune to it, you get Vicious Mockery. Here are 8 pages of Vicious Mockeries. That's all we need. That's all you need. And then that's a great item. 10 out of 10. Mechanical complexity depth. This is surprisingly complex for what it needs to be, which is a way to make people laugh with vicious insults. You can Vicious Mockery on 6 creatures, but it doesn't do the disadvantage, but it does double damage. No. You don't need that. You don't need that. You just don't need that. Does this feel like D&D? This feels like D&D. This feels like D&D. And is it balanced? Yeah, it's balanced. Collapsing watermelon counter. We already reviewed that. Some exotic, not magical weapons to spice up your games. All right. Note, these items in this section are meant for new, non-magical weapon options for players. However, items that have an asterisk beside them are strictly stronger than the typical power levels of weapons found in the player's handbook, and so should be considered upgrades and not directly replaceable with vanilla weapons. Okay, so that's cool that the brewer has noted that, but what am I as a DM supposed to do with that information? Does that mean I should just ban all the items? If I want to have fun weapons that make my game better, should I just ban all the ones with the asterisk on them? Is that what I'm being told? Or is there something I should do to my game to enable these to be like, okay, you can have all of the asterisk weapons in your game. Just just add 1 creature to every encounter. Cool. I can work with that. I can't work with these items are strictly stronger. Good luck, have fun, DM. You're the best. Good luck. Anyway, we see the Atlatl. It's not a weapon on its own, but it's a tool that allows spears and javelins to be thrown with greater force. Okay, it just doubles the range of a spear or javelin. Why doesn't this have an asterisk next to it? It just buffs spears. Its range doubles and it increases the damage die. Sure. Bola. A bola is a net, but it doesn't suck. It also does damage. Cool. Chakram is a metal ring with a sharpened blade. That'd be great. We could use that at our table. We actually one of the players on one of my tables would really like to have one. But we just reskinned like a dagger, not a dagger. What did we reskin? I can't think right now. But yeah, no, this is just a throwing weapon. It has finesse. That doesn't belong on a throwing weapon. I don't know what finesse does for ranged weapons. I don't think it does anything. Chakram is a metal ring with a sharpened blade. Sure. Knuckles. While wielding the knuckles, your unarmed strikes deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage. Sure. Kylie, also known as a hunting boomerang or throw stick. It's a long curved stick that spins when it's thrown, allowing it to be thrown very far and deal exceptional damage to anything that it hits. It does a lot of damage for a thrown weapon. This does more damage than a spear. Are you sure? This does more damage than a spear thrown with an atlatl. Typically, they're not thrown two-handed, but the idea of a versatile thrown weapon was too cool to pass up. Yeah. No, it's too cool for this not to be overpowered. I had to make this a 1d10. I mean, is it overpowered? Probably not. Is it better than every other ranged item? I mean, this asterisk says it is. And a great club, but it also does slashing damage. A mahuatl. I don't know if I pronounced that right. This great club has 20 sharp obsidian blades embedded around the edge. Each time you hit a target with this weapon, it deals an additional 1d4 slashing damage included in the damage. And one of the obsidian shards is lost. When all the shards are used, the weapon becomes a regular great club. Alright, well, I was happy up until this point. I was happy up until here. Thematically, I mean, this stuff is cool. The new weapons, I can't complain about any of these. Well, I can complain about this one, but thematically, the idea of a great club that you shove a bunch of blades into it, yeah, why not? Hunting boomerang, yeah, that makes sense. Knuckles, yeah. Complexity, depth, no. These are just better weapons that already exist. These are just better. There's no, with the exception of this one is complex, and that's why I don't like it. It's complex in a way that doesn't really add to the game. Like, this could have just been 1d12, or this could have been 1d12 slashing damage. Could have just been a reskinned great axe. Does it being bludgeoning and slashing make it better? Does the fact that I have to track the number of blades it has left matter? No. Does not make that better. That's an unnecessary complexity to this. Just make this weapon simple, please. And don't do this. 1d8 plus 1d4, don't do that. I mean, I guess you can do that. But definitely don't make this a weapon that you can only use 20 times. DM player burden. This does put a burden on the DM because it's adding weapons that are better, so the DM needs to scale the difficulty accordingly, and there's nothing in here to tell the DM how to do that. So there is some DM work, especially the bola. Like, nets sucking is a critical part of keeping the DM sane. The fact that nets suck means that no one uses them, which means the DM doesn't have to worry about people using them. Once you start, like, here's a weapon you can restrain a large or smaller creature. Being able to restrain a creature is huge. You can frustrate a lot of DMs with that. Like, the Entangle spell frustrates a lot of DMs. And you could make an argument that, like, oh, druids can ruin the DM's fun, but at the moment a fighter wants to ruin it, I'd rather get rid of Entangle than add bolas. I'm gonna be honest. Chakram fine. Knuckles fine. This, I mean, like, yeah, I guess that's fine. And then this, I don't know. This puts more pressure. This puts more mental load on the player than on the DM. So it's fine from that perspective, but it's unnecessary pressure. So I don't know. Do these feel like D&D? Most of these are actually weapons from D&D in the past. So yeah, these are D&D through and through. Are they balanced? I mean, this here says they're not. So I'm going to trust that they're not balanced. And yeah, that's how it is. Just gonna close that up. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was worried about this. I don't respond to crossover content very well, because it usually I'm like, why does this thing have 3 abilities that none of them make sense? And then the answer is always like, well, that's because the thing they're based off has 3 abilities, and none of them make sense there either. And it's like, okay, let's take a look at the Palico plus Mimic equals Palicopy. Usually the crossover stuff is from anime, but it can be from Monster Hunter. Totally fine. Can I zoom in? Yes. The Palicopy is a small monstrosity. CR1, HP 26. That might be a little low, but not terrible. Damage immunity is acid. That's definitely stolen from Mimics. Common sign language. Understands common but can't speak it. It has a bite and a pseudopod. That's it? Where's the rest of it? Palipolar? Oh, this isn't a mimic. This is just a creature. This is just a little dude. It's just a little dude. He has a bite. That bite's appropriate for CR1. It has a pseudopod. Yeah, that's appropriate. And then this is, I actually can't read it because the graphic is in the way. Why is the graphic in the way? That's kind of weird. Oh, this is mainly an expression of art, I guess. I mean, it's good art. Definitely. I like the art here as well. Can't complain. I won't review this. Thematically, this is fine. This is actually very simple. It's a shape chamber. I don't actually see how thematically it has anything to do with the Palico. I guess that's entirely expressed through the art, and that's fine. It's not really a mimic. It has one ability from the mimic, the pseudopod. But I'm not complaining. Complexity? No, this is very simple. This is very simple. Not complex at all. It has a grapple, or it has a pseudopod, which is a grapple. Sure. DM player burden. I assume this is something that the players would get as a pet. And that's the burden. Is that the DM is encouraged to give this as a pet. And the DM having to run a pet is a burden on them. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. Does this feel like D&D? Sure. There's nothing in here that says it's not D&D, honestly. Other than if just pretend the name isn't here, look at the rest of this, you'd say that's D&D through and through. There's nothing here that says this is not D&D. You look at the name Palicopy, I'll allow it. And balance-wise, yeah, that's a CR1. The HP might be a bit low, but it's not a big deal. That's a CR1 creature. Actually, the damage might be low too for CR1, but this might be a CR1. I don't want to look it up. I'm too lazy to do that, so I'm just gonna say it's close enough. If it's not actually balanced, it's close enough. And not bad, all things considered. The fact that this isn't some sort of monstrosity with 3 different abilities, none of which makes sense, which is more in line with what I see when I see crossover content. The brewer here has shown remarkable restraint, and yeah, I'd say this is a successful brew. This has a domain, entry X11. Okay. Cat's pajamas. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to this magic item. These pajamas have 9 charges. While wearing them, when you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, the charge is expended and you drop to 1 hit point instead. When the last charge is expended, the pajamas disintegrate. You take no damage for falling in a direction out to 60 feet. Okay, well, this is a consumable item with Uh, that requires attunement. That's very strange, but that's not like disqualifying or anything. Thematically, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Why do pajamas save you from dying, protect you from fall damage, and give you dark vision? None of that makes sense to me at all. Cats' pajamas? Maybe something to do with cats? I don't know. Oh, because the cats have 9 lives. Cats have dark vision, and cats land on their feet. Okay, I got it. I caught up. Okay, this is really silly. I don't approve of it, but I got it. I caught up. Is it complex? No, this is pretty simple. It's pretty simple. There's actually a charm in one of the hardcovers that does something like it's like the charm of 9 lives, and it's this ability. So this is 100% D&D, and it's not a burden on the DM or the player. I mean, it might be a burden on the player because they have to track how many charges this has left, but whatever. Is it balanced? It could be. It could be. For an uncommon item, that might not be balanced. That might be a bit too much for an uncommon item, but I don't know. I'd have to like do some cross-referencing and looking at other magic items of similar rarity, and that's not really a good way to balance magic items to begin with. They're not balanced by rarity to begin with. So if this were rare, I'd say, okay, yeah, that's balanced. But as an uncommon, it might be balanced. I'm still not sure. As far as because this is consumable, total props to the brewer, because if this is a problematic item, you can just like use it up. You can just if the DM gives this to a player and they put on the cat's pajamas, I can't believe I'm saying those words. They put on the cat's pajamas, and then you realize, oops, I messed up. This player is now unkillable. Just hit them 9 times when they're at 1 hit point, and then problem solved. This doesn't recharge, so you don't have to. You don't have a lot of regrets if you give this item out and you regret giving it out. Owler Hexer. Pit your D&D party against this trickster predator and see how it goes. Okay, what many pages? Okay, this is just sure. All right, let's look at this text. Okay, innate spellcasting, that's fine. Okay, so we're an Owler Hexer. We're CR 8. Yep, that's a CR. 83 hit points, AC 16. That might be low for CR8, but it might be right. I'd have to look it up. It has a fly speed. That's important. It has dark vision 300 feet. Sure. Understands primordial, but only speaks to use verbal spellcasting components. Okay. I won't think about that too hard. Predacious sight. Disadvantage on wisdom checks that rely on sight. You can see small or larger creatures that are up to 3 miles away with detailed acuity, including items and wounds. Okay, +5 initiative rolls. Isn't that No, it's not. Cannot be surprised while conscious. Okay. Makes 2 attacks with its claws, then it can cast a spell from its at-will list. Okay, the claws are very basic. And then at will it can cast Bane, Hex, or Eldritch Blast with 2 beams. It can also, it has a paralyzing breath. Well, let me, you spend your action, paralyze a bunch of people, but it's okay, sure. Reactions nullify hex. Okay, when a creature of the Owler Hexer can see cast a spell with the enchantment or illusion schools. Well, that's scary. Now I have to know the school of every spell that's getting cast. Pop quiz. What school is Healing Word? What school is a Hypnotic Pattern? And what school is Shoot, I'm trying to think of a random. I can't think of a random spell. Let me just go over here and pick a random spell. What school are those? The answers may surprise you. Knowing the school, what is Spirit Guardians? Knowing the school of the spell is actually not as trivial as you think. Maybe for illusion spells it is. Maybe. I'm gonna assume that most parties are not going to get hit with this. Most parties are not going to get hit with a nullify hex. They're not going to try and cast illusion spells or enchantment spells within 60 feet of the hexer. The hexer also gets detect thoughts, invisibility, ray of enfeeblement, or hallucinatory terrain. All right. Thematically, this doesn't actually seem that interesting, I'm going to be honest. This is a CR8. Its features has good eyesight, and it can't be surprised. That's a little generic. It also can fly, sure, but that's not special. That's CR8. It has claws and a paralyzing breath. I guess I can cast Bane, Hex, and Eldritch Blast. Those are hexy things, sure. This is a monstrosity. The art makes it look beast-like. By itself, it's not much, but you could probably work it into an encounter, flesh it out that way. So I'll give it that there's a theme here. There's some imagination you can bring to the table with this. This thing can detect thoughts. It has invisibility and ray of enfeeblement. You can work with invisibility. I don't know what you can do with detect thoughts and ray of enfeeblement because this thing can't talk. So, it's detecting your thoughts, and then there's no way for the DM to express that it's detecting your thoughts because it's just staring at you, and it's probably hostile. The theme is there. I don't know. It doesn't come through. It only comes through in the innate spellcasting here, and not really this hex. This reaction. I mean, this reaction is like the opposite of a hexer. It's an unhexer, hex breaker. Mechanical complexity, depth. This is simple. This is simple. I wouldn't say this is a complicated creature at all to run. Simple. And simple is good. Simple is good. Honestly, I'd give it a thumbs up. There's no. It's not something that you run and you're like, what does this creature do? It's going to take me 5 minutes to figure that out. No, you're probably going to multi-attack. You got 2 claws. They're very simple to resolve. You're picking Bane, Hex, or Eldritch Blast, and let's be real. It's probably going to be Eldritch Blast. You could Bane. I don't think you would Hex. You got a reaction, but whatever. You don't need it. Probably never going to get to use it. You've got spells, but you wouldn't cast these spells in combat. That does not make any sense. Ray of Enfeeblement is the only one that you could even feasibly cast in combat. Maybe Invisibility, but you'll know when you want to cast Invisibility. And then you've got a Paralyzing Breath, which you don't have to use, but you can use if the opportunity arises. Simple. No complaints. Likewise, the DM burden is pretty fine for creature. Does it feel like D&D? Yeah, all of this is D&D. This is all the language of D&D. This is a monstrosity. It has flight. It understands primordial. It has some features that are very much D&D features. Yeah, this is a D&D. This is a D&D creature. And is it balanced? Probably. I think the HP might be a little low. The damage actually is probably fine because it can claw and then has 2 beams. So that's 4d6 plus 6 plus 2d10 per round, and that I don't have the math memorized, but challenge level 8 can actually do quite a bit of damage per round. That might be fine. And if it's not, just give it another claw attack or increase its claw damage by another d6. This is on its own, I don't know what to do with it, but as an ingredient in a larger encounter, yeah, I could see myself using this creature very effectively. No complaints there. Cool, and that's just credits. Here we go. This is what I was afraid of. Hold on, I have to sneeze. It's not coming. No sneeze. Okay, wait, how many pages is this? A lot of pages. Alright, I'm not reviewing all of this. I'm gonna review like one thing, and I'm gonna use that as representative. Okay. What is Hammond? Hammond, also known as Ripple, is a form of supernatural energy. I don't know anything about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so I don't. This is someone who knows nothing. You gain a pool of Hammond points equal to proficiency bonus plus Constitution modifier. As an action, you can take a deep breath to recover 1d4 Hammond points if you're not hindered from breathing. I'm just gonna. I can't. I don't know anything about what this is. Vampirism. Vampires are humans transformed via the stone mask. Required artifacts, stone mask, legendary item. Properties. So you put on this mask and then you become a vampire. And as a side effect, the user loses their original race and becomes undead. Vampire traits. Here's a bunch of traits. Your stats go up, your speed increases, you get vampire regeneration, hardened flesh. This feels like a template from 3rd edition, and templates from 3rd edition do not need to be brought into 5th edition. It's not necessary. Vampire weaknesses, okay. Classes, okay, finally, something I can understand. Creating a stand user. As a stand user, you gain the following class features. Stand user are extraordinary individuals capable of manifesting a supernatural entity that reflects their soul, will, and inner power. Okay. Like a shaman. Okay, so they get a proficiency, they get weapons, their saving throw depends on stand. Okay. You can cast Prestidigitation with Thaumaturgy at will. Stand Awakening. Choose a subclass. Oh, wait. Hold on, I didn't. 1d8 hit points. Light armor, simple weapons. So this is like... I'm guessing this is close to a bard. You must have 18 charisma and 15 in dexterity and constitution. So this is bard, but someone cooked way too hard. Choose a subclass that defines your stand. Okay, whatever. Your fighting spirit burns even when all seems lost. When you fail a saving throw, you can reroll it immediately. You use this feature once and regain all uses after a long rest. Okay. In addition, you also, as a bonus action, you can strike a dramatic pose and declare your style. Choose one of the following effects. You and your allies within 15 feet gain advantage on their next attack roll. One creature that sees you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be surprised until the start of your next turn. As a bonus action, you can make someone be surprised. While they're watching you. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. I can't. I don't know what that... Your will and confidence defy all logic. You are immune to being frightened or intimidated, except by another stand user's abilities. Okay, in addition, while your stand is active, any creature targeting you with the direct attack must succeed on a wisdom saving throw, or waste the attack. Okay. Thematically, I'm sure this makes sense to someone. It doesn't make any sense to me, but sure. Mechanical complexity. I mean, this seems pretty simple. So far, this seems pretty simple. There's nothing here that stands out that I can see that makes me go, oh, this would be a nightmare to run. You just get a reroll of a saving throw. Actually, just kidding. How do you surprise someone? Like, that's not a thing. That doesn't exist. You can't be intimidated. I don't know what that means. Other than that, though, other than the parts of the book that don't make sense, it seems simple enough. Doesn't seem that complex. This doesn't seem simple, but I don't know what's going on at all. Is this a feat? Do you just get this? Yeah, it looks like it's a feat. So this is a feat, and this gets you a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's not simple. But this class, this class right here, it's simple enough. Burden wise, I've seen worse. Does this feel like D&D? Just to someone who doesn't know anything about JoJo, it's not my thing. It doesn't land with me at all. But if you were to file all of the the flavor, if you were to file all of the flavor off and just genericize this as much as possible, you could make this D&D for sure, 100%. This is speaking the language. This is in the format of D&D. I think you could argue with all of the flavor filed off that this is D&D. Is it balanced? Just looking at this, no. I don't believe that that's balanced based on when you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it immediately. That's the level 2 ability. And then you can force creatures to make a saving throw or be surprised. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to go through this whole thing. Actually, that was it. Maybe I'm being uncharitable, but I don't think that's balanced. Okay. Gloriana presents The Not Deer. That doesn't look like a D&D stat block. That looks like a 4th edition stat block. I guess that 4th edition is D&D. Why is this highlighted blue now? Can we not do that? Can we not? Okay. Not deer is not a deer. It looks like a deer. But its eyes are strange and it has alien behavior. It's an extremely rare creature. People who live in cities will likely never encounter this, but those who live in the wood, mountains, and forests may have caught some glimpses. We just have a weird deer. Weird not deer. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at its stats. Okay, this is a CR4 creature. Is this draw steel like style? I don't actually remember what draw steel stat blocks look like, but this is very much 4th edition D&D to me. Speed is 45. Okay, AC 16, HP 79. And it is +6. Why is it +6? Don't worry about it. Skills. Okay, it has skills. Its stats look a little goosed for CR4, but stats can be goosed. It has resistance to force damage and psychic. Sure. Understands all languages but only speaks telepathically. Okay. That's a bit blunt. Let's move on to the creature. The traits. Aura of Fear. Creature begins their turn within 20 feet of the not deer. Trigger response. What is this? I don't speak this. Failure. The creature becomes frightened until the end of their next turn. Yeah. That's a very weird way to phrase frightened presence. Frightful presence. But frightful presence has a clause there that says if you succeed, you don't have to keep making saving throws. And it's not, they don't do that because like there's a tradition behind it. They do that because making a saving throw every round is annoying AF. Eventually, you want to move on from this aura of fear and get to the rest of the battle. Okay, the not deer has resistance to magic. That's fine. Supernatural alertness can't be. It has their proficiency to initiative rolls and can't be surprised. Okay, that's why its initiative is +6. You can't be surprised. That's sure. Etherealness can enter the material plane. Not antlers. That was a very standard antler attack that does psychic damage as well. Psychic pulse. Each creature within 30 feet of the not deer takes psychic damage. Why is it a wisdom save and not an intelligence save? I don't know. The designer decided that. Bonus actions, variant. Okay. Sonic lure, charm a creature, and that creature has to move towards the not deer. Okay. Well, there's the not stag. We'll get to that one in a second. Not deer. Thematically, that's really hard to work with. It's a deer, but it's alien. It has the wrong paws. It's got the wrong antlers. It's kind of a joke, but that's fine. This comes together, at least. So, thematically it works. It's not something that really you can nail down. It'd be better if it had a name. That wasn't not deer, and its abilities weren't not antlers. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna try and come up with better theming. Mechanical complexity, depth-wise, no, this is pretty simple, straightforward. I'm pretty sure this is all of these abilities are from other creatures, so they're tweaked slightly, like the aura of fear. It's just a frightful presence, but you have to keep saving even if you succeed. Psychic pulse. Come on, it's just a 30-foot range. Everyone takes 48 psychic damage. Why does this have resistance to force? I don't know. Don't worry about it. DM player burden. I will dock it points for the RF here. That is a burden on the players because they have to roll save every round, and they can't move on from that ever. They can't move on from that feature ever. Is this D&D? Yeah, this is D&D. I don't get the language here. This language is not... it's not 5th edition. But it is 4th edition, so I'll say it's D&D. And balance-wise, this looks right. This looks right. This looks balanced. I give this no complaints, balance-wise. Is there anything that's in here that explains why it's statted like this? Oh, come on, I clicked this. Nope, nothing. It's just statted this way because that's how it is. Let's look at the not stag. This one's worrying. Large Fae, usually neutral evil. CR is 8. That does not... I don't know. Could be right. It has the same resistances as the not deer. Understands all language but only speaks telepathically, a bit blunt. Dooming aura. Okay. This is like the fear aura, but it becomes permanently frightened of any hostile creature. Oh, no. Okay. The creature becomes frightened, and then next turn it becomes permanently frightened. If it fails again. That's mean and weird.
This can be removed using a lesser restoration spell. Only lesser restoration. Okay, interesting. So not call emotions, not greater restoration, not wish. Only lesser restoration. Certainly. Interesting. Does lesser restoration even cure the frightened condition? Let's look real quick. I'm curious. It does not normally. So the player just needs to know that lesser restoration is literally the only way. Okay, that's a bit much. But whatever. Magic resistance. Yep, magic resistance. Success. The target is immune to this ability for 24 hours. What? What is this doing here? Is this in the wrong spot? Is this attached to the magic resistance? Because that's how I read it as. But that means the not stag has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects, and then it gets immunity to the magic resistance for 24 hours, or it gets immunity to the spell for 24 hours. Whatever. Trampling charge. The not stag moves at least 20 feet straight towards a creature and then hits it with a not antlers attack on the same turn. Target falls prone, and the not stag makes a not hoof attack against the target as a bonus action. Sure. This only makes sense to me because it's what giant stags have. The fact that this is the not stag makes a not antlers attack with its not hoof. It's a lot harder to read than it probably needs to be. Unnatural hide. Hide of a not stag is made of an otherworldly substance, granting it an AC. Okay, this does not need to be an ability at all. You can just give it the high AC and just say, yep, deal with it. It's got an AC of 16. Supernatural alertness, can't be surprised. Whatever. Multi-attack. Can make one not antler attack and one not hoof attack. This is the same. This is basically the same as the not deer. I guess the only difference is this dooming aura. So thematically, it gets the same credit as the not stag, or the not deer, which, you know, I'd be more into it if it wasn't called not stag, if it was called something in particular. Mechanical complexity is same level, same problems. This line is confusing, and I'm going to assume that is just not supposed to be there because it does not make any sense to me as is. I'm going to assume that's a typo, and as such, the complexity is about the same. I don't know how the player is supposed to figure out that this condition can only be removed using a lesser restoration spell. That is a burden, and I don't particularly think it adds to this creature to have that burden. So I would actually rate this creature based on that. Not as good as the not deer. Does this feel like D&D? Yeah, this feels like D&D. This is a D&D creature through and through. Is it balanced? Probably. Is its initiative lower? Yeah, its initiative is lower. What? Why is its initiative lower? Is it? Its dex is a lot lower. Okay. Well. Yeah, the differences between the not deer and the not stag, I actually don't like. I think the not deer is a better brew. But they're both fine. Both fine. All right, I'm gonna say this is the last one, and then my computer's been on the fritz this whole time, and I'm concerned, so I'm gonna do some diagnostics. Hollow Harvest. Doctor says any more spirits in my diet. Okay, this is a level 6 necromancy. Is that a spell? Oh, good. Casting time 1 minute. Okay, so not something we cast in combat. Range touch. That has some components. You touch the corpse of a creature that has died within the last hour, placing an offering on its body as you begin to siphon its lingering soul. The spell fails if cast on undead constructs or creatures with the rejuvenation trait. Okay, so this has to be a corpse of a once living creature. You gain temporary hit points equal to a creature's level or CR plus its charisma modifier at the start of each of your turns. Oh. Well, this is a level 6 spell. Okay, so we can do stupid stuff. When you have temporary hit points from the spell, you don't have to make 2 Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration. When you take damage that is fully absorbed by those hit points. If the damage exceeds the temporary hit points, you make the saving throws normal, using only the excess damage to determine the DC. While you concentrate on the spell, any magic that tries to restore the soul to life has a 50% chance of failing and being wasted. Okay. So this is like False Life, but a lot better than False Life. Is Heroism the spell that gives you hit points, temporary hit points every round? I think it is. Gains temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. So you're getting 5 from Heroism, which is a level 1 spell, and you're getting probably between. Oh wait, plus its charisma modifier. Okay, so you're getting between 1 and 40. That's a huge swing. If you're getting 40 temporary hit points per round, wow. But that requires you to have a creature that has died within the last hour that's CR 30 and has a 30 charisma. I doubt you're going to have that. So you're probably much more likely to have a, CR 11. So you'll probably get, 12 to 15 temporary hit points per round. And this is using up your concentration. Heroism also uses up your concentration, but you can share it. Whereas this you can't share. This is for you only. I don't follow why you're getting temporary hit points. I don't actually follow what's going on here. So you're a necromancer. You've got this corpse, this fresh corpse. You cast this spell, and you're tougher. So it's like a False Life, but it's constantly refreshing. Is that because you're harvesting the corpse? Like if someone you siphon this lingering soul, but let's imagine this, and the spell doesn't say this at all, so I don't expect whatever. If you cast this on a creature, on a corpse, and then the corpse is resurrected. When concentrating a spell on your magic that tries to restore the soul to life has a 50% chance of failing and being wasted. The spell keeps working, even though the creature you're targeting is alive now. Nothing interrupts the spell. Is that thematically what's supposed to happen, or is the spell supposed to not work anymore? I'm trying to figure that out. There's a similar spell called Soul Cage, I think. It might not be in here because I think it's a Xanathar spell. It does the same thing, but it takes your bonus action to regenerate, and I think it's you get 2d6 temporary hit points. It's a lot nicer. I shouldn't say nicer. It's a lot gentler than this spell. So that said, the theme, it almost makes sense to me. It doesn't quite make sense, but almost makes sense. The complexity here is, it's not particularly complex. No, it is, because it lasts for 24 hours. That is particularly complex. But it is a 6th level spell. So that's alright. I think complexity wise, because it's tapping into creature CR or level plus its charisma modifier, that makes it more complex than it needs to be. But it's not super complex. Usually features don't tap into CR or level. Is there a burden here? There's probably a burden in the sense that, like, now the DM has to watch the CR of every creature they send against the party, or they risk feeding the wizard or cleric this spell that makes them untouchable for any low-level threat for 24 hours. Does this feel like D&D? Yeah, this feels like D&D. Because there's a similar spell that does this called Soul Cage. I don't actually even know if it's exactly called Soul Cage, but it's a similar idea. And then is it balanced? Probably not. Only because it's leveraging the creature's level or CR. If this was a spell that was like choose a corpse, and then you get twice the spell's level every round for up to 24 hours, that's a lot more manageable from the DM side. You don't have to worry about, like, I'll send a CR 28 dragon and then the dragon dies and then it's fine because the wizard won't get 28 temporary hit points per round for 24 hours. If it was like that, if it was independent of CR and level, it'd probably be balanced. It might actually be a little underpowered for a 6th level spell, but it probably would be balanced. There's also the case where, like, you cast the spell on a goblin and then great, you're getting 1 hit point per round. That is not balanced either. This spell sucks. It'd be better to have a spell that doesn't fluctuate like that based on the DM, what the DM chooses to send at you yeah. A lot of these are Patreon funded. Okay. Well, I leave it here. I was pretty critical of a lot of these. I like most of these brews. Most of them are above average quality in my eyes. Even like, where is it? The JoJo one. Could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. I have seen some scary homebrews from people who are fans of whatever, and they don't take kindly to being told that what they're trying to make is not D&D. And I mean that in the sense that, like, you can't give characters like lightsabers at level 1. You can't give them the force at level 1, and they can kill dragons with their minds at level 2. Like, you still gotta keep the game balanced. You still gotta fit things into the D&D framework when you're brewing stuff up. And showing restraint. Don't take that for granted. It's important. So credit to all these brews. Keep brewing. If it's fun for you, do it. Don't listen to anyone else. Use it. Have fun. That's the goal. In the future, I want to talk more about, like, the thinking process behind making a good homebrew. Probably gonna aim for that this weekend, but I can't promise anything right now. Probably be doing more brew reviews as well, because I don't know, this is fun. There's also Unearthed Arcana, which I feel like they have a different. It's also homebrew, but it's an entirely different quality. It'd be fun to go through that as well. Anyway, I leave it here. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Hope the stream is still working. See you all next time.